Hi fellow Django developers, Hezekiah here from alwaysdjango.com, where we discuss interesting topics that help you grow, improve as a Django developer. If that sounds interesting, like, subscribe, share this video with anyone if you find this video important. Let's get into it. So today we are going to be looking at login and authentication process for a Django application. In the last tutorial in this playlist, we looked at user creation process, right? Where you create the user, right? So right here we are going to look at how to log in a user, right? So from the last tutorial, our server is on here. From the last tutorial, this is what we had. So if we go to our browser, and refresh, let me off my a side note here, guys. I'm working on this, is a side project, just side project for using fast API, right? This is a side project using fast API, and I'm asking if you want me to start making videos. I know this channel is a Django channel, right? But if you want me to start making tutorials on fast API, if you don't know, fast API is also a backend framework for making APIs really quickly and with Python, right? So if you want me to also start making fast API tutorials, just putting them on the channel for you, something like that, you leave a comment in the description, leave a comment, tell me to make tutorials on fast API. Maybe I'll consider it and make tutorials on fast API. So let me close this server. This server is on. This server here is for fast API. So let me stop it and maybe close this totally. So if we go back and refresh, Django, this is now our Django tutorial project, right? So if we go to sign up, right? So if we go to sign up, this is what we did in the last tutorial, just creating a user form, a user creation form, a Django user creation form where a user can sign up. And so let's see how it works. It says username here. Let me use Hezekiah, right? Hezekiah1. Then we enter our password. Let's say our password is users123, right? Then users123. So we say sign up. So you can see the message here, user creation was successful. So what we want to do now is that after this user sign up, right here, we want to redirect the user to the login page, right, where they can enter their username and password and get logged in, right? So if we go back to our code in Django, there is something called in the Django authentication framework, there's something called views, right? And now we'll be using the login view, right? So to import that, you say from if we go to our urls.py file, this is our url.py file right here, this is our URL path. So if we say from django.contrib.auth then .views, we import the login view, right? So this login view is a class-based view, right? So if you don't know about class-based views, they are generic views. If you don't know about class-based views, check the tutorial. We have a playlist here on this channel where we discuss Django class-based views, generic views, from create view, update view, list view, delete view, permissions in generic view, etc. We went in depth on everything generic views. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Maybe it will be popping out on your screen also if you're watching on YouTube, right? So if we should target and inspect this, you can see right here that it is a class, right? So this login view is a class, right? So if you don't know how I open this, if you are using VS Code, just hold on Control or Command key for Mac. So hold on Control. I'm on Windows, obviously. Hold on Control, then click on this, and it will open for you. So you can see that it's a class right here. So it's a class-based view, right? So, and you know, classes have methods. They have method and parameters that you can override. So the name of this URL path should be login, right? So we want to use the login view, then name is equal to login, right? So this is a class. You can see right here that our terminal is erroring out, right? So let me make this bigger. Maybe it's a bit too big, so let me just reduce it, right? Okay, you can see that our terminal is erroring out on us right here, right? So to use class-based views, right? To use class-based view, you can see all our views right here are function based, they are not class based. That's why you can be able to pass it, that's to pass a reference to the import the function and simply pass it here, right? So but to use a class based view, you say dot as view, right? So if you use this dot as view, go back to our terminal, you can see that it's not complaining anymore, right? So like I said, class-based views, classes generally have properties and methods you can override, right? So but if we go back to our URL, our application, our browser here, go to login, right? If you go to login, you can see that is complaining that a template does not exist, right? What is the name of this template? Registration/login.html, right? So when you use this login view, Django expects you to, in your template view, it expects you to have a folder there called registration, and inside that registration you have a template called login.html, right? That's what it's trying to complain here. Now to override this and specify the template we want to use as this login template, we come here and we say template name, if I can spell, template name is equal to login.html, right? So what are we trying to say here? What we are trying to say here is that whenever we are trying to tell Django that this login page right here, this login view right here, should go to our templates folder and look for the login.html, right? This template should be the template that is used for our logging process, right? So does that template exist right now? No, it doesn't. So let's create it. Paste this, press enter. So let me just output a h2, let's say login page, right? So if we go back to our browser, we reload again, you can see it's now using the template to just this login.html template we just created, right? So what we'll do now is that we come here, copy this sign up template, we copy it because it has everything we need. It's inheriting from the base.html, it's loading this crispy forms tag and everything, right? So we'll come here, we'll copy this and we paste it here, right? If we paste it here, you can see in this template, let me close this, you can see that in this template we are outputting this form right here. So in this your template, when you told Django, because you told Django to use this template as your login in template, right? Django will automatically pass in a template function, a template variable for you whose name is form, right? And this form will be the form with which you create the user, right? So this form right here will automatically be passed into this template, right? And this form will render out the username and password field, right, that the user can log in from, right? So to go back and refresh again, you can see right here we have the form. So this is the username and the password, right? So let's send this to sign up and just send this to sign up. So if we come here and say the sign up, the button will say, instead of sign up we say login, right? So if we go back, refresh, that is that, right? So the last user we created, we say that our username is what? Our username is Hezekiah. Let's just test out Hezekiah1, right? Then our password is users123, right? Let's sign up. So it's signing up. Let's try and use an invalid credential. So if we use, instead of Hezekiah1, we use Hezekiah, just Hezekiah. You say user, we enter in a password. If we submit it, you can see it's erroring out, right? So this is very awesome. This is very, very awesome about Django. You just have a login system that just works right out of the box. We didn't really write any code. We didn't really check our error messages. And you should note, guys, that you can also have a custom authentication. You can implement custom authentication in your Django application, right? You can, right? But out of the box, this works. And for me, most of the application I've worked on, let me say 30% of the application I've worked on with Django, I've really had to just use Django inbuilt authentication process, right? It's as awesome as that, right? So if we enter the right credential, Hezekiah1 users123, right? So if we do this, then you can see right here that Django is authenticating. Our login process works now, it works correctly, but you can see that it's redirecting to account slash profile slash, right? What does it mean? It means that when in Django, when you don't override in your settings.py file, there is a setting called the login redirect URL, right? So if you don't override that URL, tell Django which URL it should redirect you to after a successful login. It will redirect you to this account slash profile, right? I don't know whether you understand that. Let me say it again. When you implement Django authentication, Django login in process, right? After successful login, right? It redirects you to this account. It first of all checks your settings.py file for a certain variable called the login redirect URL. If that login redirect URL, which we are going to set very soon, is not in the settings.py, it automatically redirects you, expects you to have a URL path defined for accounts slash profile right here, right? But do we have that? No, we don't. So we go to our settings.py file. So go to settings.py file. In your settings.py file, you just come, let me go to the bottom here. You just come here, right? And you say login in capitals redirect URL, right? So this should have a value of the URL path name, right? So the URL path name, you want the user to be redirected, or maybe you have a dashboard, right? You want the user to be redirected to that dashboard after login, right? So but for now, we redirect the user to this list books, right? And in the next tutorials, we'll see how to protect this URL path so that only authenticated users can access this URL path, right? But for now, we pass in this list books, this URL path name, we pass it in here, right? So what do we expect? We expect that after a successful login for application, Django comes to our settings.py file, looks for this variable. If it's set, right, it uses it. If it's not set, it redirects you to slash account, your domain name slash accounts slash profile, right? But for now, we are setting it right here. So let's go and test again. Let's go back to the login. So if we go back, refresh. So our username is Hezekiah1. Our password is users123, right? So fingers crossed. So you can see that it is redirecting us to the list books URL right here, right? So this is it, guys. This is how you implement login process. We have looked at user creation process, we have looked at the login process. In the next tutorial, we'll be looking at the login out process and also template conditioning, right? Authentication template conditioning. That's something like we'll add a navigation bar. We'll add a navigation bar for our application, right? So in that navigation bar, we want to show, maybe when a user is authenticated, sorry guys, when a user is authenticated, you want the URL bar, right, to contain parts like create book, list book, etc, right? Because the user is authenticated. But if the user is not authenticated, you want the URL part to have login, sign up, and stuff like that, right? So we'll be looking at template conditional, outputting some contents for an authenticated user and outputting some contents for an unauthenticated user, right, in your template, right? And we'll also be looking at the logout process. So that's it for me today, guys. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe, like the video, turn on the notification for new tutorials, and take care of yourself. Peace.